Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about boundaries, specifically boundaries about your time and around your time, how to set those, what those might look like, and why it is so important as a mama to achieve that joy and fulfillment that I know you are looking for. So let's get to it.
Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter.
Okay, mama. So we are in our series on JOMO, achieving JOMO, which if you do not know what JOMO is, if you have not been listening, it's the joy of missing out. It's something where we can have joy and be content and fulfilled in who we are and what we're doing and how we're living our lives, and know that we even though we might be missing out on this or that or the other thing, or see people doing things that we might think initially, like the gut reaction is, oh, I wish I could do that. But we know deep down that we are content and we can be joyful in what we are doing and not have that FOMO, not have that fear of missing out, but actually experience this joy with knowing that you are content in doing what you need to do for your life because you have taken the time to uncover what that is and what is important to you. So we started this off by talking about building our foundation, discovering who we are and what we want and what is important to us and our families at this season. With where we are right now in this moment of time, we've taken the time to do that foundational work. Then we talked about comparison and how we can use comparison actually to our advantage, how it does not have to be a detriment, and how if we have done this foundational work, how comparison will not bother us. We can actually use it to our advantage. And today, I really want to get into boundaries, specifically boundaries around our time, because I believe that is the third key piece to experiencing this joy and fulfillment that I know you want as a mama. I know that you are yearning to be able to be fulfilled and know that you are on the right path, that you are doing the right things. And until we do that foundational work, we can't really get to this point of setting the boundaries because we haven't figured that out for ourselves. So I'm going to start with a quote here. This one is from Benjamin Franklin that says, "Lost time is never found again." Lost time is never found again. And the reason that I think this is so important is because when we don't take the time to figure out what's important to us and why, right? Then we can lose time and spend our time doing things that aren't actually bringing us fulfillment. They are just making us more overwhelmed. They are making us more scattered, more frazzled, less patient. Right? We have less patience when we are more overwhelmed. And when we spend our time and we feel like we aren't getting anywhere or we're not being fulfilled by what we are actually doing with our time, we are kind of going about things just, flying by the seat of our pants or just kind of going along with the ways of this world and kind of fitting in wherever we fit and staying busy. Yes. But when we are not doing things that are truly what are important to us or bringing us this fulfillment, we are just filling our time with things that are going to make us want for more, right? When we are filling our time with things that are important to us and that are bringing us this content feeling and this joy, and when we have taken the time to figure out what that looks like, then we can be happy and be joyful knowing that even though we might be missing out on some other things that people are doing and things that we're seeing, we have this contented feeling knowing that we are spending our time in a way that's best for us, right? And so we need to put boundaries around our time to protect it. so that we can spend our time in a way that will be fulfilling and so that we don't fall into this trap of doing this, that, and the other thing that looks shiny and looks good and seems fun and whatnot. But actually, when we really think about it, isn't what we would have chosen had we taken the time to really prioritize what was important to us and why, right? Prioritized with purpose. When we do that, that is the reason this show is called Prioritize with Purpose, is because exactly of this, exactly that we need to be really present in our moments and figuring out what's important to us and why. And once we do that, when we set these boundaries, you are going to be able to experience this JOMO that we have spent the last few weeks talking about, right? I'm going to read another quote here. This one is from Lao Tzu that says, "Time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is to say I don't want to." To say I don't have time is to say I don't want to. Okay, y'all, this might seem harsh, right? And when you think about all of the things in your life that you are saying you don't have time for, are you saying that you don't want to, right? This one is kind of a double-edged sword because there are so many hours in a day. Even though time is something we can never get back, right? And it is something where it is kind of infinite. We have put constraints on time. There's boundaries around our time, right? Like we have taken at some point in time, people have decided that 24 hours equals one day, right? I don't really know who came up with the 24 hours equals one day, and we only have so many days a year, right? Like in this many days in a week and this many days per month. And all of these things are based on scientific reasoning, right? But when you think about it, we as humans put those constraints on time, right? And when we use our time, it's the only currency we can't get back, right? This is the only thing that we have no idea how much of it we have left in life. We have no idea how much of it we had in the beginning, right? And we have no idea how much we have left. But we use it in such a way that we treat it kind of like it will go on infinitely, right? A lot of times we treat time like it will go on infinitely, and it will not. It will not. And so this is a very sobering thought, but when you say you don't want to do something, right? That sounds very harsh, but it's true. And right now, when you look at your life, what are you saying I don't want to? What are you saying I don't have time for? And when you think about that, if that gives you pause or that makes you think, gosh, there are so many things that I actually want to have time for that I'm not having time for. There's so many things that I'm saying by not spending my time doing them, by saying that I don't have time for them, that I'm saying I don't want to, that aren't true. When you think about it, though, how much time are you giving to things that you actually, if you were to think about it, you would say, I don't want to be giving my time to that. I believe that you would be taken aback a little bit if you sat down and really thought about it, because you're probably spending more time a day than you would like to admit scrolling. You're probably spending more time than you would like to admit trying to figure out what you're going to do with your time, right? I know sometimes when we have so many things on our plate, when we have so much to do, you can spend a lot of time thinking, what am I going to do first if you haven't taken the time to prioritize what is important on your to-do list, right? You can spend a lot of time wasting time doing things in the wrong order. For example, I talk about this a lot in my planning episodes, and so you might not really understand what I'm talking about, but if you think about how you spend your time, and if you are thinking, gosh, I do waste a lot of time, it seems like, then you're probably like most people, right? Most people would probably admit that they're wasting a lot of time. But the trade-off for that is, what are you saying no to or saying I don't have time for that you actually would want to do? I bet there's more things that you would actually want to do that if you really stopped and think about it, that you could actually find the time for if you were to really stop and think about it. If you were to really plan your time out, if you were to really take the time to figure out what's important to you and why, right? And so what can these boundaries look like? What can these boundaries around our time look like? Okay. So these are some things that you can do before, right? Before you even sit down and figure out what's important to you and why. If you don't feel like you have taken the time to do that foundational work yet, you could still set some boundaries. Okay. You can still like limit your screen time. And if you don't know how to limit your screen time yourself, or don't think that you have a problem with your screen time, there is a setting on your phone that will actually do it for you. And you can go in and you can choose how much screen time you allow yourself in a given day. You can also choose your social media apps and like limit those. There's very specific things you can do on your phone to help you with a specific thing if you would like to set boundaries for yourself around your phone and your screen time. Something else that you could do is like you could say, I know this is important to me. And I have said that family dinner time is a really important thing to me and my family. And so we all have to be present at the table. And we set boundaries, and I do not take any activities or do anything that will interfere with our dinner time, right? We all four have to be present and at the table for dinner every night of the week. This happens like 99% of the time. Like there's a random birthday party that gets thrown in there, or, certain things like that. And I don't count that in there, but I'm talking regular activities and things that you do on a regular basis that take away from family time, family dinner time, which I believe is a very important thing for my family, right? You can also set boundaries around how you spend your time. And this for me was something that I decided to do a long time ago when I decided, okay, I cannot, clean the house, do dinner every night, do the grocery shopping, do the laundry, like every single task that had to get done around the house, and spend time with the kids the way that I wanted to, and take some time to focus on my business and all of the things that we have to do as moms. And so I decided that I was going to hire someone to help me. I've done this in different aspects. So I've hired somebody to help me clean the house before, and I've also hired somebody to help me watch the kids before so that I could get certain things done. This could be so that you have some time to do some self-care type things, so that you have time for the grocery shopping, so that you have time to put yourself into a business. Another thing that's really good to set boundaries around is your sleep time. So if you know you need a certain number of hours of sleep per night, then you can set boundaries around that. And these are boundaries for yourself. So sometimes you're setting boundaries for other people, and then sometimes you're setting boundaries for yourself. Sometimes you're taking what you know is something that you have a weakness in or something like that, and you are setting a boundary for yourself. I've done this definitely on my phone with social media. I've taken the apps and set them to a certain number of minutes, and I've changed it over time, like 0 minutes, or I've allowed myself 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it was, right? If you have a certain number of time that you would like, if I spend more than 30 minutes a day on social media, I feel like that's a problem, right? But then you look at it and you're spending way more time than that, then you should set that as a boundary for yourself, especially when you realize that that is wasted time and time that you cannot get back. Time that you are saying, okay, I am saying no to things in my life that I actually want to have time for because I am doing this, that, or the other thing, right? Another thing you can do is to set boundaries around your time that you spend on the phone. Like if you know that someone that you like talking to someone on the phone, maybe it's a sibling or a parent or something like that. Maybe it's one of your best friends, right? But you know that you are on the phone with them for way too long. You can just tell yourself that you still want to talk to them, right? Or maybe even communicate this to them, but that you're setting a timer. And this sounds really crazy, I know, but it can really help because you might not realize how much time you are wasting And it's not wasted time, right? Like when you're talking to someone that you love, it's not necessarily wasted time, but if it is taking you away from something else, then it can become a problem for you in experiencing this JOMO, right? Because you might be missing out on things that you really would like to be a priority in your life. And it's not like you want to cut these people out of your life, right? But you might say, okay, I know when I get on the phone with them, I talk to them for so long and I am going to set a timer. So I only talk for 15 or 20 minutes, especially if it's taking you away from your kids or something you've uncovered is important and you feel like you're missing out on. Again, these are just some examples that I'm giving you of boundaries that you can set for yourself and your time. I have another quote I wanted to share with you that is from Charles Darwin that says, "A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life." A man who dares, he says, dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. So there are ways of looking at things. Like if you are enjoying something, wasting time for me might look very different than wasting time for you, right? So when you discover the value of your life, when you discover what is important to you and why, then you will know what wasting time looks like to you, right? And so your wasting time and my wasting time are not going to be the same. And I'm going to venture to say that if you are truly enjoying something, that quote unquote wasting time in a lot of other people's eyes, but it brings you joy and happiness, then that is something that is not necessarily a waste of time, right? If that is bringing you joy and happiness and true fulfillment, not just bringing you this like fleeting happiness in the moment, but actually truly bringing joy to you, then this is something that is not a waste of your time, right? But until we figure out the value of what our life is and what it looks like and what true joy and fulfillment looks like for you and what is important to you, and you have prioritized those things, then you will not be wasting your time. Right? That is not a waste of time. Alan Lakin says it like this: time equals life. Therefore, waste your time and waste your life, or master your time and master your life. So when we're able to master our time, then we can master our life. Right? But when we haven't taken time to figure out what is important to us and why, it is hard to master it. We will definitely be wasting it. And until we do that foundational work, we might be wasting a lot of time. And I want you to know that it is okay when you are sitting there feeling like, okay, I am not sure what I am doing. I am not sure if I can create boundaries around my time, if I know what is important to me and why, or how to figure that out. I know that I didn't. I know that when I was stressed, my most stressed and most overwhelmed, I had so many things on my schedule. I had so many things on my to-do list. I had so many things going on. So my time was always full. I'm not even sure I would have ever said that I was wasting time, right? I would not have said those words for sure. But when I really stopped to think about it and when I got clear and when I figured out why I was unhappy, it was because I was spending my time doing things that weren't truly bringing me joy, that weren't truly important to me in that season of my life. They might have brought me joy in the past. They might have been something that would have fulfilled me at a different point in life. But they weren't fulfilling me then. They weren't making me feel like a good mom. They weren't making me feel like a good wife, a good person. Like I just was completely thrown off. And it was mostly because I hadn't figured that out. I want to end with one last quote here. It's Stephen Covey, and he says, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." That is the key, I believe. It's not to prioritize what's on our schedule already, right? We may have said yes to all of these things, and we may be doing things that are just not important to us. I know I was. I was caught up and I had said yes to so many things that I thought would be bringing me joy, but they just weren't. They were not any longer. I was not the same person, so they weren't able to bring me this joy that I thought that they would, and they were taking up my time. And until I got clear on what my priorities were, then I could schedule my priorities, right? But it took me actually going to the hospital and them not being able to tell me what was wrong with me. They kept me in the hospital overnight, was monitoring me. It sure looked like something was wrong, but nothing was wrong except for the fact that I was so overwhelmed and so stressed out. That's how my body was telling me. It was sending out all the alarms like, Danielle, you are going about this all wrong. And I had an epiphany, right? I believe it was God telling me, Danielle, you need to reassess what is going on, where you are giving your time, where you are giving your energy, what is bringing you joy and what isn't. And this is when I figured it all out. It took a trip to the hospital for me. And I never really understood it until I was on the other side of it, right? And so this is what I want to do for you, is to help you uncover this for yourself so that you can achieve this joy, achieve this fulfillment, even when you aren't necessarily at the moment or the place where you think that you would have to be in order to achieve it, right? Once we figure out all of these things that I talk about all of the time, that is enough to be able to bring you that joy and fulfillment that you're looking for. You are going to be on a path to where you want to go, but you don't have to be there in order to be experiencing that joy and fulfillment that you're looking for. You can be this amazingly present mom and still be wanting more for your life and yourself, but not quite know what that is yet, or be just on the path to figuring it out, right? But able to experience that JOMO, able to experience that fulfilled feeling that I know you're after. So I hope this has been helpful. Please, if you want my help, go to prioritizewithpurpose.com. I have a system to walk you through that will help you uncover all of these things and get you on that path that I'm talking about. So until Thursday, y'all.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right here on Thursday. Keep smiling, y'all.